It's Craig, and it's great to catch up with Jack Savoretti. How are you? All right?
I'm good, Craig. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. Now, I was checking out a bit of YouTube last night, your lockdown covers that you did a couple of months ago. Can I say that Watching the Wheels was absolutely phenomenal? What a cover that
Oh,
was.
thank you, man. That's my dad's and my favorite song. It's our classic song we put on whenever we don't get to see each other as much as we would like these days, especially these days. But when we do, it's usually in the summertime. And it's our classic sort of by the sea. That's the song we blare when we're finally free, just sitting back and watching the wheels go by, basically.
I recommend people check it out because it is absolutely brilliant. Now,
Thanks, man.
Who's Hurting Who? You've come back with an absolute banger of a track, absolutely huge track. Now,
Thanks.
Rogers, he's just like a legend. How did you get him involved?
He begged me to be on the album,
Really,
so
did
I
he?
thought, no, no,
He was
I thought
knocking
I'd
to
give
your
the kid a
door.
shot. Yeah, come on, man, please. No, it was quite the opposite. It was me groveling at his knees, at his feet, saying, "Well, the thing is that Europeana, the whole thing of this album, the album's called Europeana, and Europeana is a word I basically conjured up to explain what European music is for the last sort of 40, 50 years and how it's been affected." And how it's been changed. And it doesn't really ever get categorized or really appreciated or sort of it doesn't get validated the way I think so many other genres. There's about 5 different ways of describing American music: Americana folk, country western, Western folk. And
Mm.
I thought there's nothing to describe European music. So I wanted to conjure up this aspirational genre that is Europeana. And now Rogers has a big part to do with that because European music was quite locked into its traditional way of songwriting and melody and nostalgia. But when disco and funk crossed the ocean, those two worlds collided. And we got the likes of the Bee Gees, we got the likes of ABBA, we got the likes of Giorgio Moroder,
Mm.
and up to this day, we got Phoenix, we got Daft Punk. None of these guys would have probably really taken the roads they took had it not been for Nile Rodgers. So I wanted the godfather of this kind of the catalyst that changed European music to be a part of this. And he loved the whole concept. He was totally behind it. And yeah, I'm very lucky that he agreed to be a part of it because I still pinch myself at the fact that Nile Rodgers is playing on one of my tracks.
It's got a great vibe, and I am loving the video as well. If you need a bit of sun in your life and you want to pretend you're away on holiday, do check out the video. Quite a bit of green screening as well. There's some behind the scene footage of you with the guys there, green screening the car and everything. Looked amazing.
That was not the original idea, but as you, I'm sure, have experienced, we got locked down and we weren't allowed to travel. And so we had to come up with a solution. And I wanted to keep it exactly what you just said. This album is the soundtrack to the best holiday you've ever had,
Mm.
or right now to the best holiday you can't have. I wanted to sort of be able to give you that escapism because it's given me escapism making it. That's exactly why I made this album. It was kind of me trying to find exactly that feeling. So I wanted the visuals to immediately sort of throw you into that landscape of Mediterranean sun, mountains, lush green Mediterranean pine, and sort of really give you that sense of glamour and connection and event and that sense of occasion that we've all kind of really been lacking. But unfortunately, we couldn't do it to its entirety, so we had to make it up as we went along, and it actually worked out because it really sort of highlighted the past, sort of highlighted a lot of European cinema doing that. So I really love that.
And I love the bit where you're walking around outside as well, and you're chatting about the fact that it's some of your summers past, and in your past you were there, and your mum was in a bar, and your mate had to go in early. He was called in, and it was midnight. I'm thinking, why are you still out at midnight?
Well, when that's what happens when you're a kid in the summer. You stay out late. It's the first time you get that taste of freedom. Summer is usually where you find yourself coming of age.
Yeah.
I seem to think it's always on summer holiday, and this is the soundtrack of that coming of age summer. I think we can all. I think there'll be a real familiarity for people when they listen to this record.
Mm.
I think they'll hear it and go, "Why do I feel like I know this? Why do I?" And we didn't want to imitate anything, but I wanted to perpetuate that sort of that feeling and make it relevant today.
Now, Europeana, it starts, I remember us, you've got kids' vocals on there singing, and the last track you've got the kids on there as well singing. Was there a reason that they were at the start and the end of the album?
Well, they're my kids, and they're kind of the bookends of this whole thing. The beginning of the album is a real nostalgic sense,
It's quite
the
haunting
same
as well,
way.
the beginning.
Totally. And it's that sort of innocent nostalgia of childhood and, like I said, summers of coming of age that we sort of always look back on. And the ending is really hopeful. I wanted it to end on a really hopeful note. And there is nothing more hopeful than hearing children singing. So I thought that was the sort of positive good vibes, so to speak, to finish on.
You've got Dancing in the Living Room as well, which is the best title I've ever heard for a track. And it's got such a great 70s vibe to that as well. If you listen to the album, there's little influences everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah, totally, and that's exactly why I got Niall to got involved, and that's why I got John Oates involved too, because they were real godfathers of changing the way music in Europe was made here in the UK and on mainland Europe. There was a real shift where
Mm.
suddenly to this kind of really traditional songwriting, melodic, nostalgic way of writing, there were these grooves and these funks, and Dancing in the Living Room is a perfect example of that. There is a groove, there is a funk, you can dance, but it is telling a story. It is telling that story about capturing the night, wanting the night never to end, and let's take home the moon and keep dancing in the living room. I love that idea, and I think the song kind of makes you want to do exactly that.
So why did you choose then Who's Hurting Who to release as a single? Why that track from the album?
Well, I think now being involved it would give me the confidence that I knew people would, coming out with an album called Europeana where you're trying to celebrate European music is not always the easiest thing to do. A lot of people have sort of, given me the, are you sure about this? But when you have the godfather of that sound saying, I'm going to put my name and face to this, I felt like there was no other way than to come out swinging. And I wanted Nile Rodgers on the pitch when I came out.
And Calling Me Back is another huge track. Could that be another single off the album, do you think?
Well, I don't think it's been planned to, but you're not the first interview DJ. You're not the first radio DJ to say this to me. So, being the experts, I'm going to listen to you guys because
I'm not an
it's
expert.
definitely well, but you know what you're doing. It's you know what I mean. And you're not the first one to say this. So I'm definitely gonna. This is definitely going back to HQ, saying that I keep being asked about calling me back to you being a single. So yeah, I love that song, and that's escapism 101. It's written with an amazing Spanish artist called Gizmo Varillas, and we were both sort of fascinated with it. Doesn't matter where we go in the world, we still dream about. For me, it's the Mediterranean. For him, it's the Atlantic Ocean. But we still have this kind of reference in our head whenever we're too stressed or just having a tough time. We close our eyes and what do we picture? And we both picture this lighthouse, different lighthouses, but lighthouse nevertheless. And we said it's amazing how you can travel around the world and yet there are these things in life that keep calling you back. A bit like the Mermaids song, and so that's kind of what we wanted to write a song about.
Now you're on tour 2022. I've got some dates here. Is it going to be great to get back on stage again? Because you're in Plymouth, Cardiff, Sheffield, Glasgow, Manchester, everywhere, London.
It's going to be amazing. We're doing UK and we're doing Europe, and hopefully we're going to add some. I think there's going to be UK and Ireland and Europe, and hopefully some more. It's such early days. We're putting the album out now and seeing what happens and how it gets received. I'm so curious to see how people take to this album. I really hope it makes people feel good, because that was basically the major intention behind this album, was making people feel good and alive and give them some escapism. So I can't wait to take that feeling of celebration out on the road.
It must be quite exciting when you actually release an album and you see people's reaction, you check it on your social media. It's just like, brilliant, it's work. This is what you work for.
Yeah, it's amazing. I always forget about this part. It's really weird. It's like this sort of, it's almost like your mind design makes you forget about it, because otherwise you'd probably never write another album again. But it's quite daunting. You forget that, you put so much thought and love and sweat and blood literally into making something. And then you realize that when you put it out there, it really is up for grabs. Like, it's up for, people can love it, but people can also smash it.
Yeah.
So far, so good. We've only had a lot of love for this, but I know that it's early days, and there's going to be somebody that's going to come along soon and, do all sorts of damage to me on social media. But yeah, it's quite nerve wracking, especially coming out of this weird sort of insular existence that we've been living in. It's quite weird to be coming out, even to be talking to you and to be talking to people about the whole process. It's different than it has been before. I'm not going to lie, but it's really exciting at the same time.
And Europeana, very quickly, how long did it take to actually put the album together? How many months did it take you?
About a year, like altogether. It would have been quicker, but we kept coming up against lockdowns. But we were really lucky. I was able to write it in an open period, and then we were able to record it. There was a lot of pressure to get the album done, but I kind of stood quite firm, because I knew that if we did it virtually like this, it would have very easily become quite pastiche based on what I was trying to do. And I didn't want to imitate sounds. I didn't want everybody to go away into their own rooms and listen to sort of things that I was talking about and imitate them. I just wanted us to perpetuate the sort of essence and the aspiration of European music from the last 60 years, but I didn't want to imitate it. And I knew the only way we could do that was by being in the room together. And what better room than Abbey Road Studio 2?
I know, I saw
because
that. Awesome.
Well, it was the Mecca. It's the Mecca of European music. So I wanted it to really have that kind of like weight when we made this record, and it really worked. I've never heard my band play like they're playing on this record, so I'm super proud of it.
Well, I've heard the album in full now, and I recommend that people do get it. Do sit and listen. Friday night, glass of wine, sun's out. Perfect soundtrack. Perfect soundtrack.
Thanks, man. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Now, if people want to check you out, you're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
And TikTok now, which I have no idea what to do with, but I've been kind of bullied into going onto TikTok to keep down with the kids. And what is that all about? I'm trying to make it as sort of sophisticated as possible, but it's almost like TikTok doesn't want you to be sophisticated. It's almost like they want you to be as silly as possible. But it is fun, actually. I have had some fun with it. There's a really cool thing where you can duet with people.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool because now I was able to duet with me on TikTok, and I've had some other artists from all around the world doing these really cool duets. So that is cool. So I recommend TikTok for that, but don't expect to be seeing me doing any weird dances anytime.
You'll have to get people to do weird dances to who's hurting who. It'll go viral then, won't it?
You never know. You never know. I'll leave that in other people's court.
Yeah, I would do. Well, Jack, it's been fantastic catching up. Good luck with the album.
Man.
The single's awesome as well.
Greg.
And good luck with the tour next year. And no doubt we shall speak again soon.
I hope so. Thanks, buddy. Take it easy. Ciao.